Berchtesgaden, one of the most beautiful areas of Germany, famous for the stunning Königssee and the imposing Watzmann mountain, where real men still wear traditional costume and where the world is peaceful and serenely beautiful. Perhaps too beautiful to be true. But the real adventures take place high up above the lake. And these two are often found right at the heart of them. The brothers Thomas and Alexander Huber. They're among the best extreme climbers in the world. This is the realm where eagles fly. While others keep order on the ground. And these two worlds are connected by the mountains. This is a stomping ground of two men who know no limits. Top climbers Thomas and Alexander Huber. They're always on the lookout for the next challenge.
Ja. Super.
The Loferer Alm Wall in Austria is one of their last challenges as extreme climbers.
Super. Sag mal, kommt das Blatt? Ja, gut.
The idea that we could top this project once more is not all that realistic for me at 42 and Thomas at 44. I think it could be something of a final statement.
We're very close partners during our climbs and we push the boundaries. It's like being between life and death, and that brings us even closer together, of course.
The brothers made a first attempt at this wall last autumn when they started preparing a route called Karma. As yet, they haven't managed to climb it without falling. That is their aim. But it wasn't just the weather that put a stop to their progress. In January 2011, dark clouds gathered for these usually successful brothers. One day, life suddenly changed for the older brother, Thomas.
It still gives me the fear when I think about it. It really was horrendous. We'd been planning for Patagonia and everything was looking good. Our preparations were going well, we were packed and really just waiting on standby at home. We wanted to make a start and fly over, but I had some stomachache. I went to the hospital and they found a tumour. And I didn't really want to tell my brother. I couldn't tell my brother that I have a tumour.
You said that we should think about Patagonia again, and I said, no, Thomas, we won't think about it again. This thing has to come out.
Thomas was lucky. The tumor wasn't malignant. It could have ended so badly. Now, half a year after the operation, the two are back in the mountains. Much has changed since then.
I see the 18th of January as a second birthday. I was so happy to be alive. and I wasn't bothered by this massive scar on my abdomen. It was simply a fact. I was allowed to carry on living. I can carry on dreaming about going on another adventure with my brother. And for me, one thing's very clear. This route we'd planned to climb last year, the Karma route, will become our next big project, and we'll really put everything into it.
Das wird dann unser gemeinsames großes Projekt werden, wo wir wirklich alles hineinsetzen.
The Karma route is one of the most difficult in the Alps and scales the steep walls of the Loferer Alm, right next to the Berchtesgaden National Park, a refuge for over 200 animal species and 4,000 types of plant. The Huber brothers learned to climb over 30 years ago, as children. Guided by their father, they climbed their first 4,000-meter mountains at the tender age of 10. The boys had talent, and they were keen. Soon they went higher, and the challenges became more difficult. They both liked the adventure, and they enjoyed the element of danger. But their father kept a keen eye on them until they became the perfect climbing partners. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses intimately.
Ganz klar die Begeisterungsfähigkeit.
If you turn up somewhere, and Thomas likes it, he develops this unbound enthusiasm. He becomes really focused, and he's happy to be out there with someone who has the same passion for these things.
Thomas, too, appreciates what his brother brings to the table.
He concentrates hard and has this aura of calmness about him, and he somehow infects me with it. And he can really help me with that. I'm perhaps the more nervous one, a little more agile. So I get things wrong, and Alexander often brings me back down to reality.
Reality can be tough for someone who's almost always been successful. The operation meant strong medication and months without training. Thomas was completely down. Now he works on his fitness every day at home on his climbing wall.
I train around 3 hours a day, but if I practice hanging on the wall for 3 hours, I'm completely exhausted. Climbing is a tough job, but it's the best job you can imagine, simply because it's really our big passion. Climbing is our life.
Slowly, Thomas is regaining his old form. Alexander still likes to climb the walls of the Karlstein area. Just like every other year, this is where the training for the next climbing season begins. This time he's out with Mario, who will be his partner on a level 10 route.
Hey Mario.
Servus.
Was wird's?
Servus, habe der. Halt.
Ist die Länge da?
Ja, halbe Stunde.
Ja.
Jetzt sage ich mal Gas.
Dauert, aber
The scale only goes up to 11, so this route known as Stone Monkey is the perfect way of preparing for the challenges of the Karma route. But talent and preparation isn't everything. For the first time, Thomas's body has sent him a signal that things have to change. But his spirit is unbroken. He's training hard to return to the mountains as soon as he can. But the mountains will have to wait. The weather isn't playing ball. Climbing in these conditions is not an option. So Thomas has some time for his other great passion. He's looking for a contrast to the peace and tranquility of the mountains. And Alexander doesn't just have the right touch in the mountains.
One of my talents is to really concentrate on what I'm doing, so I can transform any inner tensions or nervousness straight into pure concentration.
Thomas is the lead singer of the band Plastic Surgery Disaster. It's the perfect way to let off steam. Crisis hasn't been a stranger for Alexander either. A few years ago, he lost the pleasure of climbing. Private strains, stress, and animosities from competitors meant he couldn't rekindle his passion for the mountains. Somehow, Alexander lost the grip on his life.
Ich kenne meinen Bruder immer als wahnsinnig zielstrebigen.
I know my brother as a determined and confident climber and human being.
Hat eigentlich kaum eine Schwäche.
And so far in his life he's shown few weaknesses. And then he suddenly told me, Thomas, I'm not well.
Hat mir dann gesagt, Thomas, mir geht's.
And I couldn't really understand him.
Gut, dir geht's einmal nicht gut, warum mir geht's auch mal
But he said, Thomas, this goes much deeper. I really have anxiety episodes and I'm no longer in control.
Ich kann es nicht,
And that's something completely out of character.
was ich von meinem Bruder nicht kannte.
Aber es war einfach zu viel an Verantwortung über die Jahre,
It was just too much responsibility, too much pressure on me. And that led to me not being able to picture the mountains anymore, even though they've always been the source of my strength. Climbing mountains was the center of my life. And if you suddenly can't stand the idea of going to the mountains anymore, it means the core of your strength is gone. It happened so suddenly, it really knocked me sideways.
He had to get himself out of that situation all by himself. I could only be there for him as his brother and support him as his climbing partner. But I couldn't go with him.
Fear is like a mountain that you can't get around, that you have to climb. And you have to be prepared to climb that mountain, even if the first steps are so hard. But if you start to take the first steps and then just carry on, you will definitely reach the top.
Alexander conquered his anxieties. Last year he became a father, and that gave him another new bout of strength. He's out at the Schleier waterfall in the south of the Wilde Kaiser area. It's one of the best sport climbing areas in the Alps. Many of the toughest routes in Austria are crammed into this small area. Climbing at this level takes dynamics and precision, confidence and concentration, self-control and incredible strength. Thomas, too, is back in the mountains. He's climbing tough routes at the Barmstein, near Hallein in Austria. This route is full of complicated hand and footholds, and is an almost invisible path to the top of this sheer wall, as long as the strength allows it. Alexander's climbing style is very individual, elegant, and makes the enormous effort seem easy. Thomas's determination is pushing him on. He's desperate to regain his old form. But it's only when they're working together that the brothers become this well-honed unit that is so much better than most others.
Es eigentlich immer so, dass wenn zwei Menschen richtig gut zusammen.
It's often the case that two people working really well together achieve a lot more than they would as individuals.
Tatsächlich nicht mathematisch sein, sondern da kann einfach mehr im Resultat herauskommen. Und ich denke,
I think Thomas and I know each other so well that we can eliminate each other's weaknesses.
Schwächen eliminieren können.
Alexander has scaled the 25-meter wall without a fall. But the Karma route is much longer, even more difficult, and Alexander will have to support his brother even more than usual.
Mario. Nimmst, machst und obi.
But Thomas reaches the top at his second attempt. Just like Alexander, he feels ready for the big challenge. The Karma route on the south wall of the Loferer Alm. After long months of training, they're finally getting ready. Wedges, carabiners, ropes, and climbing shoes. Their entire equipment is sorted through.
Okay. Ja? Passt schon soweit. Du schmeißt das mit aufs Auto.
Today is the day for the extreme climber's last great challenge.
Jo.
200 meters of crevices, overhangs, and smooth plates are waiting for them. If everything goes to plan, the climb should take about 5 hours.
So.
Right, we're here.
Well, it doesn't look bad, does it?
There's a small wet patch further up, but not too bad.
I'm still surprised that everything seems to be according to plan.
Well, we can definitely have a go.
The weather at least is in their favor. It had been raining for days. From now on, they hardly say a word. Each concentrates on his own task, because the Karma is one of the toughest climbs in the world.
Gut.
Man arbeitet sich dann Stück
You work slowly towards the optimum.
das Optimale hin und das Optimale.
And for us climbers, that means the overhang. Exactly where we've begun this Karma route. It's phenomenally steep, and it has these difficult passages that make it the top end of climbing. It is something like a masterpiece, if we manage it.
Kann man auch sagen, das ist fast so was wie ein Meisterwerk, was wir halt einmal im alpinen Fels hinterlassen könnten. Das war schon genial.
Ja, viel Spaß.
Alexander goes first. He pulls himself up slowly and secures the rope in the hooks. They installed the hooks last year during their Recce tours. Their aim is to complete the climb without a single fall. They will only use natural holds to get to the top. Alexander manages to reach the first stand in the wall. Now it's up to Thomas to complete this first section without a fall too.
Thomas? Ja. Gut.
Ja.
Super.
Man, Alexander ist top trainiert.
Alexander is in top form, and he's helping me to catch up again.
Ich hatte wirklich
I really had a tough time where my entire world just crumbled.
sich der Horizont sich bei mir komplett verschoben hat. Ich meine, da waren keine
I
Berge.
mean, there were no mountains left, there wasn't anything. Just, can I stay alive?
Es war
And that was a defining moment for me.
so ein einschneidendes Erlebnis für mich.
This is my second life.
Das ist mein zweites Leben.
The next section is one of the most difficult in the entire Karma route. Thomas now leads, and Alexander secures him. This is the moment Thomas has trained for, but he doesn't know if it'll be enough.
Sometimes I get a bit frightened that I might not manage it. And then the courage returns, and it tells me that I've managed almost everything so far. I want to grow through this route.
Thomas has reached one of the crucial points. This is a decisive moment.
Okay. Okay, Alexander.
Their attempt is a failure, but they had to expect this might happen. Taking the falls is part of climbing. Eventually, Thomas manages the difficult section and draws his conclusion for their next attempt. The brothers will return and try again.
Creativity is at our core. We can see targets that we think are achievable, but others don't.
Aber trotzdem von keinem als scheinbar machbar betrachtet werden.
And when you can see that, you can go forward knowing that you can achieve new things.
Vorzugehen, neue Dinge zu erreichen.
When it comes to trying new spectacular achievements, Alexander is a real pioneer. The all-out dino involves him completely letting go of the rock and jumping 2 meters up the sheer wall.
Super! Gut! Woo! Woo!
The second key point in this route comes just before the top of the climb. The difficulty rises to the very limit of what is possible.
Und Flug hier! Super! Gut.
That's exactly what makes this route so attractive,
Gut.
that you have to give everything you've got. You can only hope to get to the top if your heart is completely in it.
Hinten gibt's noch! Geht schon!
This really sucks.
Super!
The Karma's demands are massive. Just what makes it so tough?
Super!
The handholds are very small. The distances you have to scale are quite big, and it is very steep. I have to say that everything else blends into the background when I try to climb the tough bits. There is simply no room for any other thoughts. The body functions almost like a machine. The rest of the world disappears.
Alexander manages to get to the end of the climb, 180 meters above safe ground.
Gut sein.
Ja!
Even in the last section, this route makes immense demands. There's a long, fine crevice that cuts through this overhang and makes it so tough. So far, the brothers have been able to make a good living from climbing. They're financed through sponsors who use their likable image for their advertising campaigns. But the main drive for both of them remains the sheer joy of climbing.
Jawohl!
Alexander, I made it.
Great.
Gut!
That went okay.
Went well.
Not bad, was it?
We had good conditions. We were lucky.
We'll have to try a little bit harder.
Vielleicht?
Maybe next time.
Despite the falls, they've made it to the top. The Huber brothers rose to the challenge.
We took the Karma route on as a project because there is an uncertainty about it, which makes it interesting. That is the spice in all this, that you can never be sure of how it all ends.
Failure is a part of extreme climbing. Only those who fail know where the biggest challenges lie. We'll come back to Karma until we've managed to conquer it.
The next day, the brothers visit the Kugelbachbauer at the Karlstein, where everything began 30 years ago. Despite expeditions 8,000 meters up in the cold of the Himalayas and a climbing record on the 1,000-meter-long nose in the heat of the Yosemite National Park, there's no place that is as much part of them as this.
Aber ich kann mich noch genau an deinen Pulli erinnern und an meinen Pulli, wo wir da gesessen sind.
They recall first climbing attempts, great successes and painful failures. And sometime in the near future, the Karma will be one of these memories, if all goes well.
Was uns beide wirklich groß gemacht hat, Alexander.
What really made us strong is that we had to get through some tough times together.
Große Täler gegangen sind und wir haben familiär.
We've always stayed together, even though we've had some massive fights.
Und das kann man genauso als Tal bezeichnen. Aber wir haben nie.
In the end, we never doubted ourselves. And we've emerged from every conflict, from every failure, stronger than before.
Wo wir rausgekommen sind, gestärkt nach oben gegangen. Nimmst du den Kleinen und den Schwarzen? Ja.
This attitude is something Thomas wants to pass on to his 3 kids. He already trains regularly with his oldest, 12-year-old Elias.
At some point there might be a mountain or a wall that's just too difficult. And then you have to be able to say, this is for the next generation to solve this problem.
Bleib drauf. Super! Bleib drauf! Bleib drauf! Bleib drauf! Kim! Hopp! Ja!
The sport of climbing is not standing still.
Wirklich bis zum Boden.
Thomas knows that better and more daring climbers will follow.
Bleib nur drauf! Hopp! Super! Hey! Gut.
The Huber brothers are pioneers, preparing the way for a new generation of climbers. Thomas and Alexander still want to go on new adventures to the great mountains on Earth, but only after the Karma route has become one of their memories. It's all of little consequence to those ruling the skies and the ground out here. They've seen many come and go here in the mountains surrounding the Königssee, the refuge of the Huber brothers.
Also wir sind nicht Bergsteiger, weil wir jetzt Profis sind.
We aren't climbers because we've become professionals, and we have to feed our sponsors with something so we can earn a living. We're climbers because we're climbers. We simply live to climb, and that's not going to change.
There's a saying, as long as you have dreams, you're alive.
The very first 3D production by ZDF. A 20-strong crew. Painstaking preparation. Hours of footage. "400 meters of cables on the mountain. Camera systems. 15 days. Five weeks in the edit. The very first 3D production for ZDF.